Hi everyone! Welcome to my channel. In this video, I will introduce the past simple English tense. This grammar tense can help you explain a past general state, action, or habit. There's a lot to learn and it's a very important tense, so keep watching. In this video, I will talk about the be verb in the past simple tense. The be verb in the past simple tense can be used to describe a past general state. We use the be verbs was and were in this tense. Take a look at the examples. I was scared. James or he was a teacher. She was sad. My dog was hungry. My dog can be it. So, for I, he, she, it, we use the past tense be verb was. However, for you, we, and they, we use were. You were a good student. Your parents or they were at the park. And we were at home for 2 hours. In this last sentence, you see that the duration is emphasized. Great job! Let's move on. Now, I will talk about regular verbs in the past simple tense. Take a look at these examples. Liam played a game. Liam is a he, but really it doesn't matter for regular verbs in the past simple tense because no matter what the subject is, all we have to do is add d or ed to the end of the verb. Here, the verb is play, so I added ed. Liam played a game. The car, or it, needed gas. The verb here is need. For the past simple tense, I added ed. We watched a movie. Again, an ed at the end of watch. You exercised for an hour. In this case, the verb is exercise. I only need to add a d to make it the past tense. And finally, they usually worked after school. The verb is work, and I added an ed to make it in the past tense. The word usually shows that this was a habit. Remember, the past simple tense can be used to show past habits. Let's move on. Now, I'll talk about irregular verbs in the past simple tense. Remember, for regular verbs, we only add d or ed to make a verb into the past tense. However, for irregular verbs, we have to change the verb in a different way. Let's take a look at some examples. I ate with my friend. The verb here is ate. Ate is the past simple tense of eat. The next example says Nara wrote a story. The verb is write. And because it's irregular, to change it into the past tense, we change the verb to wrote. You often came home late. The verb here is come, and it's been changed to came. You'll notice that we had the word often to show a habit. We bought a camera. The verb here is buy, and it's been changed to bought to show the past simple tense. And finally, my parents sent me money for a year. Here, the verb sent is the past tense of send. Here we also see for a year. This shows duration. Let's move on. Now, I will talk about the negative form for the be verb in the past simple tense. Here are some examples. The first one says, I was not hungry. For the past simple tense, the negative be verb, if the subject is I, he, she, or it, we say was not. For example, I was not, or she was not, or the contraction wasn't. I wasn't, she wasn't. So let's look again. I was not hungry. She wasn't home today. Now, if the subject is you, we, or they, we say were not, or the contraction weren't. The children, or they, were not quiet. The children were not quiet. And then the dog, or it, was not or wasn't playful. Let's move on. Now, I will introduce two ways to form questions for the past simple tense. Take a look at the first example. He was angry. In this first sentence, we see the be verb was. It's quite easy. All you have to do to turn this into a question is switch the order of the first two words. Was he angry? You can answer by saying yes, he was, or no, he wasn't. The next sentence also has a be verb. They were comfortable. So again, switch the first two words. Were they comfortable? The answers can be yes, they were, or no, they weren't. However, look at the third sentence. Sam lived here. There is no be verb in this sentence. Instead, we see the action verb lived. So what we do is, no matter what the subject, we start the question with did. Did Sam live here? You'll notice that the verb no longer is in the past tense. We use the base form of the verb. Did Sam live here? You can say yes, he did, or no, he didn't. The last sentence is similar. They won the contest last year. The verb here is won. That's not a be verb. So again, we start the question with did, and then the subject, they. We use the base form of the verb, and that's win. Did they win the contest last year? You can say yes, they did, or no, they didn't. Let's move on. Now, I'll introduce how to create and answer WH questions in the past simple tense. Take a look at the board. We have some WH words here. What, when, where, and why. You'll notice that after each WH word comes the word did. What did? When did? Where did? And why did? What comes after that? The subject, and then the base form of the verb. So, let's take a look. What did you do last night? What did you do last night? I can answer by saying something like, I watched a movie, or I read a book. You'll notice that the answer is in the past simple tense. When did you get home last night? I got home at 10 p.m. Where did they eat lunch? They ate lunch at home. Again, ate is the past tense of eat. Answer in the past simple tense. And finally, why did the company hire him? The company hired him because he's a hard worker. Let's move on. In this first checkup, we'll take a look at practice questions using the be verb in the past simple tense. Remember, the be verbs in the past simple tense are was or were. Let's take a look at the first sentence. He blank at work earlier. The subject here is we. So, do we use was or were? The correct answer is was. He was at work earlier. The next sentence says, we blank very happy yesterday. If the subject is we, remember the be verb is were. We were very happy yesterday. Next, my parents or they blank worried about me. If it's they, remember we have to say were. My parents were worried about me. If I want to use the negative, I can also say my parents weren't worried about me, and that's possible. Now, I want you to find the mistake in the next sentence. We wasn't good students. We wasn't good students. Can you figure out what's wrong? The subject here is we, so we don't say was not. We need to say were not, or the contraction weren't. We weren't good students is the correct answer. The next one says, were she a teacher? Now this is a question, so the be verb comes at the beginning. That's correct. But the subject here is she. Therefore, we need to start with was. Was she a teacher? And finally, they wasn't at school. The subject is they. So the answer is they weren't at school. You can use the contraction weren't or were not. Let's move on to the next checkup. Now, let's practice regular verbs in the past simple tense. Take a look at the first sentence. He blank at home. The verb is study. Remember, when changing a regular verb into the past tense, we add d or ed to the end of the verb. However, there's a separate rule for words that end in y, such as study. We drop the y and we add ied. So the correct answer is he studied at home. The next sentence says we blank pencils. We want to use the negative because it says not use. Remember, for the negative, we always use did not, no matter what the subject. You can also use the contraction didn't. Now, what do we do to the verb? We keep it as is. We do not change it. We didn't or we did not use pencils. The next sentence says his friends or they walk to the gym. What's the past tense of walk? We simply have to add ed because it's a regular verb. His friends walked to the gym. Now, find the mistake in the next sentence. She didn't likes math. Didn't is correct. However, remember, we keep the verb as is in the base form. So, we don't say likes, we say like. She didn't like math. The next sentence says, did it rain this morning? Now this is a question. In a question, it's right to start the sentence with did.
Did it rain? Do you notice the mistake? Remember, we do not
use the past tense form in the question. We use the base form of the verb. Did it rain this morning? And finally, they not play the piano. The verb is an action verb, so we need a did in front of the not. They did not play the piano. Great job, everyone! Wow, we learned a lot in this video. Keep studying and reviewing the past simple tense. It's an essential tense that will help you talk about the past. Keep studying English, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!